When I was growing up as a kid, the idea of searching for a Superman, a person with superpowers, was quite thrilling and fascinating to me. So since I started my work as an investigator of mysteries years ago, as James Randi's apprentice, I've had the chance to meet, test, and investigate dozens of people who claim or they think they possess some kind of psychic or superpower. I must tell you right away that I have never found evidence of any paranormal power existing, but this doesn't mean that it's not fun to search them. And without being disrespectful to these people, I think that we can try to classify claims of paranormal powers or psychic powers in relation to each claimant's belief in it, the level of belief in it. In the first group, I would put the naive psychics, that is, people that live in a world of their own, that see mysterious and strange happenings all around them and can't explain them, when in fact it's just plain everyday life. A perfect example of this is the magnetic man. Not this one, not this kind of magnetic man. This one. Not as powerful, maybe. But this man really thought he was some kind of a human magnet, because he would put a complete set of cutlery on his chest and then say, you see, they don't fall, so I'm a magnet. So I can hold them. And maybe at first, if you saw him on TV, you could be a little puzzled by this demonstration. But once you realized what was really happening, and it's really rather simple, the whole magic disappeared, because the test that we performed on this person, actually, if you look at him in profile, I mean, it gives away pretty much the solution to the mystery. Anyway, we asked him to bend over just a little bit, and you can easily imagine what happened. Everything fell on the floor with a loud crash, and the man said I was a non-believer, so the show went on. Then we have deluded psychics. Well, deluded psychics are people that one day decide that they have some kind of supernatural power, and there's nothing that's going to shake that belief. Case in point was a lady who thought she could correctly guess the identity of cards while she was not looking. Another one was another lady who thought she could guess what her husband was going to put in a box while she was not looking. And another one was able, so he claimed, or so he thought, to discern from a picture if a person was alive or dead. What these people have in common is the fact that when I asked them to give a demonstration, they could not do what they claimed, but they were thinking they were performing all right. For example, the lady with the cards, which maybe I have a picture here. Yeah, this is her. I am not looking where you think I am. Looking at the cards. It's an experiment. Well, she would, concentrate on a card and say, King of Hearts? No, 3 of Clubs. Yeah, but it's close. Really. Jack of Spades? No. Queen of Diamonds? Yeah, but it's a figure. Rock on. Yeah. Same for the lady with the box and the X-ray eyes, supposed. I see something shiny, a surface, light surface, nice color. We would open the box. It's an orange. Yes, perfect. You see, it's shiny, little, nice color. Could very well be a pair of glasses or a pen, and would be the same thing. What happens here is that these people do not have the slightest idea on how to perform a test. They ask a friend or a relative or a partner to help them, and then they adapt whatever they say to the actual result. And this way they are practically always right. The man with the dead or alive test, he would put his pendulum over a picture, and say, this person in the photo is alive and kicking, I feel it. Well, actually, he died in 1976. Yeah, I know, but I felt life because he must be so much in the thought of his parents or his loved ones, whatever, yes. So there's no way you can, discuss. Unlikely psychics, you see there are many different shades, are those who find the power that nobody really felt the need for. We found many of this kind. In comic books, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, in comic books you would have, for example, unlikely superheroes such as Arm Fall Off Boy. It would be to bang the enemies. Or Madame Fatale, this is great, is a guy dressing up as an old lady to fight crime. I'm thinking about the writer of these comic books and the drawer. Anyway, this is Matter Eater Boy. He would eat things. And of course, the immortal spoon-bending bloke, but enough said about him. Useless powers that nonetheless should mystify somehow. And in real life, then, you would have, for example, the mummifying eggs girl. That's what we have, yeah. This was a lady who thought she could, by putting her hands on some eggs in a dish, she could mummify them. Why? I don't know. But she had this idea. So she brought some samples of mummified eggs, and they looked dried up, and they looked very interesting. I mean, I'd never seen a mummified egg before. I'm not sure you did. You have ever seen one, but so it was interesting to see. This is a demonstration of what happened. Of course, it took a week to put it in this condition, no? And the test we suggested was very simple. Let's put one of the dish with your egg. You treat it, you do whatever you do, usually in a room, and then we have 9 other eggs where you do nothing. You just stay away and see what happens. She said, yes, but you have to put them in different rooms because the energy I put in this egg, can flow. And sure, this is reasonable. And we found 2 separate rooms at the University of Pavia. And the result, in the end, was that the egg of the lady was again mummified, as we saw, perfectly. No bad odor, nothing. The other 9 were exactly the same. No difference at all. This is what happens when you take an egg, you put it in a dish, leave it there for a week. Maybe not in a too warm room. This is dehydration, nothing incredible, but on an open egg, I'm not sure how many have tried it. So it was interesting to find out, not ground shaking, but still something unusual. But the lady, and this is also typical, thought about it for a second and then said, instead of admitting, oh, I was wrong, this is another explanation for what I thought was a psychic power, she said, no, this only shows that we all have these powers. Well, bereaved psychics are unfortunately nothing to laugh about, because these are people that have really suffered a huge loss in their life, and they found that only by imagining that they have some power or some connection to another reality, they can cope, can find solace to the grief. A typical example is mediums who lost their children. And however, these are not classic mediums. You would not find them holding seances in the dark, having table raising and materializing spirits. Maybe they would use automatic writing, that is, writing whatever comes to their mind, or EVP, which is electronic voice phenomenon, and they're recording voices from the afterlife. It only works with the old recording devices and tapes, and it doesn't work with digital recordings. Wonder why. Well, with this kind of psychics, any kind of any testing is quite fruitless and frustrating. By asking or accepting to be tested, they are trying to reinforce their belief. And if the test, as usually happens, fails, what you're put into is a position where you're saying, you're wrong, your son is dead, he's really dead, and why are you wasting your time on this, which is not something nice to do. And I personally discourage performing tests on this kind of psychics or people. You don't get anywhere, and there's nothing good at the end. Oh, psychiatrist's case of psychics. It's another non-laughable subject, unfortunately, because once you start testing people that think they have psychic powers, sooner or later you meet some of these. These are people with mental problems, some more serious than others, and it's not easy to handle them if you're already into a test, and only then you realize who you're really dealing with. Once, through a friend, I accepted to meet a person who said he had something incredible to tell me. I was very young. And so what he told me is that he was receiving some voices and some distressing signals in his mind that would prevent him from doing anything. He couldn't sleep, he couldn't work, he couldn't do anything, so he was going crazy. And he told me that by doing some calculations and triangulations, I don't know exactly what he did, he was able to find the source of this mind warping he was receiving, and went to the house where the supposed stalker, psychic stalker, was living with a gun. And he stayed there for the whole night. Luckily for anybody who was living there, nobody came out, and in the morning the man left. But this just gives you an idea of kind of people you can meet. So he had come to me and to our skeptic group in Italy, asking that we put him in some kind of a demagnetizer in order to render him absolute signal proof. There's nothing you can do with these people, unfortunately. With these people, we can do something different. This is interesting. Another man came to us saying that he could change the figures on a watch. Say, change the time, you mean? No, change the figure. See, this is the exact kind of watch you would use, an old-fashioned electronic bell. In the morning you use this, and he would concentrate and say, hey, you will see it will change. Okay, here we are. Here's the watch, let's see. But first I have to prepare for this. So what he did was quite interesting, because it was summer. He put on a very heavy jacket, another jacket, he was sweating, and then he had 2 big scoops of honey. Then he took some rubber bands and started to stretching them, all the while running on the same spot, all doing all these things. He was sweating like crazy. And by that time, we already knew where we were. Too late. Anyway, this person, now I'm ready, said, I'm ready. So he got near the watch and said, now look what happens, huh? Look very carefully. You're filming this? Yes, we are. Yes, we are filming, unfortunately. So he was concentrating and said, look now, look what happens. You see, it's moving. You are moving. No, look, it's moving. I see it moving. So he was moving, actually, and in his mind, the watch was moving, but of course, only in his mind. And the test was already finished, but he went on, trying to convince them, because he was more worried on when we would give him the prize, Randy's prize, I mean, if President Clinton could be involved in this or not. And we were trying to explain, wait, before you have to do the test, and then you win the prize. But this usually happens with sincere people that really believe. Well, there are so many. Another one was thinking he was the man in the iron mask reincarnated, but I'll tell you some other time about this. Oh, another one, maybe he's here, sad story. Man who thought he was Robert Redford, but let's go on with this, sorry. Joe, you here? He's not. He's not. Better. Cunning psychics. Well, we may call these people not necessarily dishonest. very cunning. Not necessarily dishonest. They may have found some seemingly strange things happen when they are around, and so they get an aura for being absolutely special. Or better, what actually happens is that they found some situations in which pretty commonplace events can be transformed into apparent miracles and then take advantage for them. A typical example it was when somebody claiming to be a psychic goes on a TV show or a radio show and then says, you know, I'm going to concentrate and provoke strange things in your house. You may know that some people did that through the TV screen. Years ago, when I was Randy's apprentice, he was doing a TV show in Los Angeles. It was titled Exploring Psychic Powers Live. Does anybody ever heard about this? And there was another guest on the show, the spoon-bending bloke we just named before, Uri Geller. And he announced in the trailers for the TV show that he was going to perform something really amazing that nobody would really believe that it was true, but it was. He was asking people to bring cutlery to the TV set and broken watches and so on, and they would see something amazing. So Randy, before the show started, the day before, came to me in secrecy, and said, we're leaving. Sure, we will. Phoenix, Arizona. Never been there, great. How long do we stay? 2 hours. 2 hours? You what? Don't worry, you have to be a psychic from Italy, that's fine. I'm not a psychic, and I'm from Italy, but don't worry, you just go for a radio show. So we went to this radio show in Phoenix for a couple of hours and then came back to Los Angeles. Then what happened is that the TV show the TV show started and Uri Geller performed as expected. And this is what happened next when the host of the show, Bill Bixby, the actor, asked Randy what he thought about it.
All right, gentlemen, I'm sorry, I'm afraid we are running out of time. Now, we've heard what the callers had to say, those that get through to us. It seems incredible to me. Now, Randy, what do you have to say?
So this is the astounding feat that Mr. Geller offers as proof of his wonderful psychic powers. Last Saturday morning, listeners to Phoenix radio station KSLX were treated to a similar performance by psychic Massimo Polidoro from Milan, Italy. Mr. Polidoro told the audience, as Mr. Geller did tonight, that wondrous things would occur in their homes as he put forth supernatural vibrations. Let's listen to some brief reports by the amazed listeners who called in.
We've got Massimo Polidoro from Milan, Italy. He is a kinetic psychic, and let's go to the phone. Hi, KSLX.
Hello, my name's Bob. My cat, it's pawing at the radio right now, standing with its hair on edge. I've never seen behavior like this in my life.
Hi, KSLX. Is something strange happening at your house?
Hi, this may really sound silly, but I have a clock my mom gave me. It's an antique clock. It hadn't worked when she gave it to me, but it's a family clock, and it started ticking. I mean, it's making that tick-tock noise back and forth.
Hi, KSLX. Anything weird going on where you are?
Yeah, I'm at work, and we're reprocessing artificial kidneys, and the reprocessing machine started backing up foam out of the sink.
Tammy's on the phone live with us right now.
Okay, I walked out into my kitchen. I have a clock that's battery operated. And when I looked up at the clock, it said 8 o'clock. And it's still ticking, and it was on time before.
And you just went in there just like recently?
Yeah.
Because right now it's 8:23.
Well, the only problem here is that Mr. Polidoro is a colleague of mine who has as much psychic power as a piece of shirt cardboard. Over a period of only 30 minutes, reacting to suggestions that any anomaly at all would be due to psychic influence, listeners to that station called in and reported things that they ordinarily would not have even noticed. We thank the folks at KSLX for proving our point for us, and I rest my case.
It says everything. This is the last group, of course, the people that do not believe what they're doing, and they know exactly well what's going on. And they stay away, usually, from any kind of testing. However, once in a while, one of these, probably not very bright, tries to beat the skeptics, comes forward with some claim. For example, this guy came to me saying he could get pictures of ghosts, and took me this one, probably thinking that in my world, ghost capture for the iPhone didn't exist, so it was pretty easy to get rid of it. But some other people are not as funny or as sympathetic. This lady, I wrote about her in Skeptical Inquirer. She claimed to be a psychic detective, and she claimed that she had found a missing girl that had drowned in the lake in Como in Italy. And she got huge publicity from the media, the television, the newspapers, and we immediately found out exactly what had taken place. That is, to sum it up shortly, this girl was last seen when she was going back from a discotheque an evening. It was a storm going on, and the road she had to follow with her car was very short, just 4 kilometers, but there was a very sharp bend on the lake, and there had been works being done on the street, so it was very slippery. And what probably took place was that the car just went over and into the lake. And the police later, when they did the research, they couldn't go on the bottom of the lake because it was like 500 meters depth. So they didn't have neither the instruments nor the time to devote to the search for this. So they probably thought either she has gone there or maybe she's gone somewhere else, but we can find her. And time went on. And a couple of years after, when this psychic lady came forward and found about this story and thought that would have been a great publicity stunt, probably to present it as a psychic vision. So she counted on the work of a group of volunteers that dedicate weeks and weeks searching for missing persons, and they have everything needed. So they sent a radio submarine on the bottom of the lake, filming everywhere, and eventually they found the car. So it was quite different from the story that was presented by the newspapers. But these people, they may even offer to be tested. They may challenge the skeptics. They're only trying to get some publicity. So it's very, these cases must be handled very carefully because you risk to give them more publicity. These differently honest psychics, let's say, there are really many kinds, and because they are the most spectacular to see, and so the media often comes to me or to us in order to ask an opinion or to conduct an investigation. One of these examples took place some time ago for National Geographic. They called me and said they had found somebody who had developed Jedi-like power. He was able to, just concentrate his energies and then knock someone out without touching him. Well, I'm going to show you what happened.
Milan, home to Italy's stock market and business centers, and its fashion and shopping capital. It's also home to two of the world's most famous skeptics, chemist Luigi Garlascelli and psychologist Massimo Polidoro. Massimo writes prolifically on all kinds of supernatural phenomena. Luigi is the hands-on type. He'll subject himself to almost anything to make a skeptical point.
I think it is important for scientists to investigate strange claims because it is the job of science to discover what still is unknown, and it is what scientists do all the time.
Now it's time for Massimo and Luigi to turn their attention to the most hair-raising use of mystical energies we've seen so far. Throwing chi to knock someone out without even touching them. Massimo reviewed the tapes of George Dillman and his followers performing such no-touch knockouts and was not impressed.
The people going there expected what was going to happen, and they were expected to react in a specific way. They just reacted to the suggestion. When this happens in hypnotism demonstrations on stage by a magician, which doesn't use hypnosis at all, just gives suggestions, and people who is ready to believe that kind of things reacts.
But critiquing a tape and standing up to a karate master are completely different matters. It's time for a showdown. In one corner, weighing in at no more than 125 pounds, is chemist Luigi Garlascelli. He thinks he can stand up to a knockout punch of chi because it doesn't exist. In the other corner, it's 8th degree black belt Leon J., one of George Dillman's top associates and fellow practitioner of the no-touch knockout. This ought to be interesting.
In fact, when we did the test on Luigi, he was not ready to believe these things. Or maybe it was just staying there, seeing what would happen. It didn't work.
And nothing happened. Of course, this had been edited because it took about an hour before he realized nothing was going to happen. But what's more interesting here is the explanations given by the expert, I mean the real inventor of this technique, George Dillman, about this. You ever heard of a TV show called Lie to Me, you know, where Tim Roth, okay, he looks for signs in muscular behavior, whatever, and he understands if somebody's lying or not. Now you try to be Tim Roth and look at him explaining why this didn't work and see if he's making it up or if he's really sincere, because it's really difficult to tell.
Dillman thinks he knows what went wrong and has come up with a very interesting explanation.
The skeptic was a totally non-believer. Plus, I don't know if I should say that on film, but if the guy had his tongue in the wrong position of the mouth, that can also nullify it. Yeah, you can nullify it. You can nullify a lot of things done to you. In fact, you can nullify them if you raise those two big toes. If I say I'm going to knock you out, and you raise one toe and push one toe down, can't knock you out. And then if I go to try again, you reverse it. If you keep doing this, I won't knock you out.
Good to know, but...
So if you meet some thugs in a road, you know how to react. Just twist your tongue. Now, for something completely different, a recipe. A recipe for cooking psychics, for testing psychics. This is one of the questions that usually is being asked often. And are there any rules to follow when you meet somebody who claims they have psychic powers? How do you test them? Well, here are at least 5 easy rules to follow. First rule is to define exactly what the person does, define the claim, and in what conditions, and have them write down exactly what they do, the rate of success. And this is just a first step, but many just stop here because they are not able to explain what they do, in what conditions, when it doesn't work, and when it does. But it's fundamental before you start to have everything down in writing, and you see why in a few seconds. She's the lady, of course. Second step is try to agree on a shared protocol. Have them explain exactly what will constitute a success and what a failure, and then develop a test that suits both of you. They don't have to be they don't have to feel that they are put in an uncomfortable situation. And you still must have control of the experiment. But remember to put all of this down in writing. Third step is have the person perform a demonstration at their own conditions, the same way they're used to do it at home or for their friends. Have them sign a paper where they say this is just a demonstration and not a test. Film them while they're saying this, because many times afterwards, if this is successful, as it should be, because they've always performed it, they may say, well, I was successful, but they didn't accept my results or whatever. So if you clarify in advance that this is just a test, it's just a demonstration and not the test, at least you have something in writing, no excuse. could be accepted. Then you add this special ingredient, the control. The control could be anything that you may need, a double-blind test, a randomizer, controls against trickery, whatever you need for the specific test. For example, in a clairvoyance experiment, during the demonstration, the performer could look at the cards after giving his guess. 3 of hearts. Let me see, oh no, it was 5 down. Okay, try again. In the actual test, you cannot give them this feedback, because otherwise, if you're using just a deck, they can easily imagine what cards are missing and what have already been seen, so raise their percentage of success artificially. And finally, see what happens and wait for the excuses, because inevitably they will come. Very, very rarely people admit that they were wrong, especially if they thought they had psychic powers, because it's difficult, if not impossible, to abandon such a cherished belief. So you're going to get into a discussion, a confrontation, even if they signed beforehand a statement in which they said the conditions are perfect, this is okay, the skeptic is not vibrating negatively or whatever else, they still will try to rationalize it. Yes, I said it was okay, but you're on the safe side because you had them sign the paper, but still they see in a way. I think only once I found a person, as I was saying before, that admitted he was wrong. This was a case of a person claiming that he could turn the taste of wine bad. Another one of those fundamental superpowers that we were talking about before. We did the test, and of course, it was non-existent. However, and he said, okay, maybe I was wrong, but the same person, of course, said, yes, this was wrong, but I'm also a healer, and that works. So this is as close as I got to getting an admission of failure. It's a lose-lose game. You can't win. So it's inevitable to ask at this point, why test psychics after all? I mean, if I could give a suggestion to any would-be psychic detective, meaning people who investigate psychics, not people that think they are detectives psychically, what I really would like to tell them after more than 20 years of this experience and having to deal with this kind of people is simply to stay away. Don't do it. It's not worth it. You will waste a lot of time, a lot of patience. Very rarely you will find something interesting. Maybe you find that eggs left in a plate will dehydrate, but that's about it. Psychic powers, never. It's a complex mental game in which some of these people get caught into, and it's not very nice to be trapped in the same web with them. But you correctly say someone has to do it, not for the sake of the psychics, of course, but for the people that simply don't know and need to be shown what these things really are. Well, my friends, all I can say is, have fun. I'm done. Thank you.